Grok 4.5 just dropped yesterday, and I've been spending a bunch of time playing around with the model, trying to get a feel for how it ranks up to Opus 4.8, Fable 5, GPT 5.5, and Composer 2.5, which are the main frontier models I've been using in my day-to-day building out. And as you can tell here, I've spent 70.1 million tokens since yesterday building out and adding features to mission control, trying to also add in features to my agent system swarm application. So at this point, I have a good understanding of the pros of this model and the cons of this model. I do want to kind of walk through my opinions of this and what I use it in my day-to-day development. So the first thing to point out is this model is almost on par with GPT 5.5 in terms of terminal bench. So this is the benchmark that is testing how well it can interact with your terminal. Can it run commands? Can it read through the output and actually successfully execute things for you in the terminal? In terms of the software engineering bench multilingual, it's even a little bit better than GPT 5.5. It got a 78% versus the 77.8%. But of course, it doesn't come close to Opus 4.8 in terms of the intelligence. That's something hard to beat. And they don't even mention Fable 5 because they probably know that it'll make them look pretty bad. But if we go and look at the breakdown of this model, it's very cheap. The input is $2 per 1 million tokens, and the output is $6 per 1 million tokens. So what exactly does that mean? If you go back to the landing page of artificialanalysis.ai, you can see that Grok 4.5 high is about 31 cents per task on average versus Fable 5 is looking at $2.75. GPT 5.5 is 86 cents. So it's almost a third of the cost of GPT 5.5. But if you go and look at the performance of this thing, it's almost just as intelligent. So you get a model that's almost as intelligent as GPT 5.5, which again is a really great model, but it costs a third of the price. And also, if you look at the speed, it runs faster than both GPT 5.5 and Fable 5. So I've actually felt this speed when I'm developing. When you prompt it to do something, it kind of feels like Composer 2.5 in terms of its speed. It's fast, you can iterate, but it's a lot more intelligent. One of the reasons I stopped using Composer 2.5 is that the intelligence was just not on par with Opus 4.8 or GPT 5.5. So although it ran fast, I'd find myself, when I'm using Composer 2.5, I have to keep on reprompting it to go and fix the things that it didn't do properly. So I basically abandoned Composer 2.5. I started using the other frontier models. I won't even talk about Fable 5 because honestly, after this trial period where they're going to charge for use, I'm probably not going to use it either because it's so expensive to use. But now we have a model like Grok 4.5, which is cheap, it's pretty fast, and it's also pretty intelligent. Now, I do want to talk about the context window. I think this is something that's really important to point out because most of the other frontier models, the context window is about 1 million tokens. But if you look at Cursor Agent, I went ahead and just loaded up Grok 4.5 high fast, and I told it to just do a simple prompt. And my context window over here is 256,000 tokens. So that is the max size of your context window, which for most tasks, it's perfectly fine. If you just need to come in and tweak a button or come in and add a small feature or just do something really small, this model is extremely good at just doing the task. But if you want to plan out a giant multi-phase, multi-step plan, that's where this model may not shine as well as Fable 5 or Opus 4.5. But I will say that you can find ways to probably break up this and use sub-agents, and every sub-agent could use Grok 4.5 to implement the small task. So overall, I don't know if that's really an issue anymore. Most of these models are pretty good at just running nonstop and implementing what you ask it to. I was talking to someone who's trying to also test out this model, and he's mentioning that he's having a hard time getting Grok 4.5 to run longer than 30 minutes. He is using Grok build, I believe. So where does this model actually shine? I would say that if you're doing iterative development, so for example, you come in here, you want to add in a small feature. You want to move a button around. You want to change or redesign a page or route. This is where this model is really great, which is how I actually do development in my day-to-day. I like doing iterative development. I play through the application. I try to figure out areas I can improve, and then I'll kick off a simple little prompt to do that change. And maybe I'll kick off 2 or 3 or 4 other prompts at the same time using Grok 4.5 to make all of these changes as well. And also, as it's running, I'll go ahead and switch over to other projects as well, kick off a prompt, and I'll go test that in my UI. So I can have like 2 different projects kind of working concurrently. But because the model is so fast, it doesn't feel like you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for it to finish, right? You can kick off a task and then go do something else, come back, refresh, and it's like there, the change is there. Now, I've only been using it to build out features and fix bugs on my side projects, but if you go and look at what other people are doing, AI Pulse Daily, you should go follow this Twitter account. He has a lot of good experiments he's been running, and I actually talk to him basically daily about what he finds when playing around with these models. But he mentioned that he was able to basically rebuild this procedural dungeon generator And it took Grok about 5 minutes to achieve this, which just highlights the fact that this is a very fast and intelligent model. As you can see, it's building out the dungeon, it's creating the actual paths, and then it's increasing the walls. And the reason this is important is because he also tried to build out the same thing using Fable 5, I believe, and it took hours for this thing to build. Now, as he mentions, there's no like cool lighting and details like it is down here, which is the thing he was trying to replicate. But I will say that Grok is an iterative model, so you can get the baseline kind of laid out with code, and then you can come back and just reprompt it again to tweak this, reprompt it again to tweak that. It's a really, really good way to do development, in my opinion, and it's much better than just like creating a giant plan and letting it run all night. At least that's what I've seen for real life work. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about. I will state that I'm going to start using this model as my default model because I do think it's actually good enough for my use cases. If I do need to drop into a more intelligent frontier model, then maybe I'll reach out to Fable 5 for the really hard tasks. But if we're being honest, Fable 5 is way too expensive. So after the subscription period ends for Fable 5 and they just transition the API key usage, I'm not going to use it. It's just too expensive. I'm not going to pay $100 for a prompt and then come through the code and realize that it missed things or stuff is broken. I'd rather just iteratively prompt and test the feature by hand with a cheaper model. And by the way, if you do want to use this mission control application that I built out, this is the primary way I've been doing agentic coding. You can go check it out at agentsystem.dev. This is a free to use open source project. You can also go check out the Git repo as well. Other than that, yeah, have a good day and happy prompting.